Except if you speak with people who've had a life after death experience, the real life after death experience, where they've been presented to that light, that giant light, they often tell us that that light is where we all come from, where we all return, and it is love. So when we say light and love, it's us being redundant, trying to find more than either of those two words in our human languages really communicate to us. Later, years later, I found out about photons, tiny, tiny, tiny little subatomic particles. The photons are considered to be the tiniest bundle of light that we know of. They're also the tiniest bundle of information that we know of. But they're also the tiniest bundle of energy that we know of. So then I thought, well, why didn't it say what you're doing is bringing energy, light, and information onto the planet? But you see, the energy was already here. As we expanded our bubble, our little playground, so we could access more, was when we had received the rest of those properties of the photon: energy, light, and information. And what's also very fascinating is that quite a number of sources tell us that our Earth is moving into what is termed a photon belt. Now, the way to understand this would be to imagine that if this is the entire universe, there's this belt, like a Milky Way, but not the Milky Way, but of tiny little subatomic photons. And the Earth's trajectory or path will bring it through this belt twice in a circle. But that path, that circle of time, might take, depending on who you listen to, anywhere from 30 to 120,000 years. And we are moving into that belt right now. If we already have the energy, then we are now moving into the light and information. A strange, you know, it's almost like a little treasure hunt. You find a piece here, you find a piece there, you find a piece there, and all of a sudden, things start to make sense. So, then we move into the third and fourth phrase. What you are doing is reconnecting strings, and what you are doing is reconnecting strands. Now, I knew from a large part of this experience that we're probably not going to touch on during this interview, that strands meant DNA. But again, it was years later when I found out about photons and other things. I found that out when I started to hear about something called string theory. In quantum physics, string theory includes existing on multiple planes of time or dimensions at once. In other words, here we are today in 2007 in Athens. Here we see behind us the Acropolis. Is it, however, possible, according to string theory it is, that the Acropolis that we see also going on there on another plane that we don't see is when the Acropolis was new and the gorgeous conversations of philosophy and the center of learning was happening right there? Is it also possible that something's going on in that space 5,000 years from now? And maybe we don't see that, but maybe they do see us. Someone, somewhere, managed to determine when I would bring my hands near my patients and suddenly have their eyes roll back, their tongue move, a voice come out and speak 6 sentences verbatim when they didn't know one another. Who was that someone? I don't know, but it was someone, somewhere, on another plane of existence. Those two phrases are interesting with one another because our brains don't work the way we were taught. We were taught that memory is here, and learning is here, and this is there. But this information is diffuse in our brains. But the other thing that we know is the information isn't just in our brains. It's in this field called 0-point field. This is the field that wouldn't die. I say that because in the 1800s they would talk about this etheric field, how they would refer to it, and they disproved it. You know what? In the 1900s, the sucker came back, and there it was again, and science set out and they disproved it a second time. And now it's returned, and science is using it. So they're calling it zero-point field, so they hope you don't recognize that they've changed the name. But everyone calls it the field because we know what it is. We're not just in this field. We are this field. We are a part of this field. So it's denser here where we're physical. It's less dense in between. It becomes dense again, you know, where something else or someone else is more physical again. And it carries all this information because we are information. Our bodies don't heal through chemicals as we were taught. Get that? Here we are going all through school being told our bodies heal through chemicals. They don't. Our bodies heal through information, vibration, frequency, and the communication occurs via light, and it's a part of this field. So, as our brains access information in this field, this is also how we learn and know things. Our computers are hardware. You have a computer at home, it's hardware, you put a software program in it, and you can get information from the computer, and it will access information from that internet thing out there somewhere. Upgrade the software, we get more information in our computer and better access to the internet. What if our brains were our hardware? And what if our DNA is our software, which allows us to access what's going on in this field? What if the work that we're doing in reconnecting strands is upgrading our DNA, upgrading our software, so that our brains can become more consciously interactive with the rest of the universe, allowing us to become more multidimensional beings? How does healing work? Healing is that we become light. You know, it's not just a new age thing to go, I'm the light, you're the light, everyone's the light, isn't that lovely? We actually know through science today, through the work of Fritz Popp in Germany and others, that we are candles, constantly giving off and exchanging photons, particles of light, with one another. If you take a human cell and put it into a little darkened box, you will see that our DNA emits a certain level of light. When our health is down, the light is dimmer. When our health is coming up, our light is actually raising. We are this light. We are this field. So healing, when we're working with another person, we come in and we feel. And this feeling is such a state of bliss. It's such a beauty. It's such a love. It's such a joy that somehow we become reminded, if to whatever level we might not be conscious, that we are that light. And that memory, that reminder, has us glow at our peak. And we communicate in this field to another person, and we become a reminder to them that they too are light. And somewhere inside of that person, a voice goes, hey, I remember this. This is me vibrating healthy. I think I'll do it again. And suddenly we vibrate at that level of light, and anything denser than that light, which includes most health challenges, has nothing really left to grab a hold onto and falls away, if appropriate for us, on our life course.